Love is supposed to feel safe. It is supposed to nurture, grow, and inspire us. But what happens when love begins to feel like chains instead of wings? When the very person who promises you care and happiness becomes the source of your pain, your doubts, and your insecurities. This is the painful reality of toxic love. Many of us enter relationships with hope, with dreams of building something beautiful, only to find ourselves trapped in patterns that erode our self-esteem and peace of mind. This audiobook is not just about letting go of someone, it's about reclaiming yourself, understanding why you stayed, and learning how to love without losing yourself. Through this journey, we will explore the psychological traps, the emotional storms, and the steps necessary to heal. You will learn how to identify toxic patterns, set boundaries, and ultimately free your heart from what no longer serves your well-being. By the end, you will not only let go of toxic love, you will rediscover the strongest, most resilient version of yourself. The hidden chains of love. Love is one of the most powerful forces in human life. It has the ability to uplift, inspire, and bring meaning to our existence. When we are in a healthy, nurturing relationship, love feels like a warm light that guides us through life's challenges. It energizes us, gives us confidence, and reminds us that we are not alone. Yet not all love is healthy. Sometimes love can become a trap, a bond that drains us, diminishes us, and leaves us feeling trapped in an endless cycle of pain and confusion. This is the nature of toxic love. In this chapter, we will explore the hidden chains of toxic love, why it happens, how it ensnares even the strongest individuals, and the importance of recognizing it before it takes over your life. Understanding the roots of toxic love is the first step toward freeing yourself and rediscovering the vibrant, resilient person you truly are, the illusion of love. Toxic love rarely begins as something that seems dangerous. In fact, it often starts with what appears to be perfect love. You might meet someone who seems attentive, caring, and even ideal. At first, this person may fulfill your emotional needs in ways that feel magical. Small acts of kindness, intense passion, or words that make you feel seen and valued. It feels like the love you've always dreamed of. But slowly, cracks begin to appear. Subtle criticisms, passive-aggressive behavior, or moments of emotional withdrawal become patterns. You start questioning yourself. Am I too sensitive? Am I overreacting? These doubts are exactly what a toxic relationship feeds on. Toxic love thrives on confusion, self-doubt, and dependency. What begins as warmth can gradually transform into a pattern of emotional manipulation and control. Why we stay in toxic relationships. Many people wonder, if toxic love is harmful, why do we stay? The answer lies in both psychology and human emotion. Our brains are wired to seek connecti, on, and attachment. From childhood, we learn that love is essential for survival, acceptance, and belonging. When a relationship becomes toxic, these deep-seated needs can make it incredibly difficult to leave, even when logically we know it's harmful. Fear plays a major role. Fear of being alone, fear of judgment, and fear of starting over can trap us. Additionally, intermittent moments of love and kindness, the rare compliments, acts of affection, or intense reconciliation after a fight create an addictive cycle. This is sometimes called the hook of toxic love, the hope that things will get better, combined with occasional rewards that feel intense and meaningful. We also stay because we blame ourselves. Toxic partners often manipulate situations to make you feel responsible for their behavior or for the problems in the relationship. When someone convinces you that you are the problem, you begin to doubt your own perceptions, leading to self-blame and emotional exhaustion. Recognizing toxic patterns. Before you can let go of toxic love, you must be able to recognize it. There are many forms of toxic behavior and not all are obvious. Some common patterns include control and manipulation. Your partner constantly tries to control your actions, thoughts, or social interactions. They may use guilt, threats, or emotional withdrawal as a way to influence your behavior. Emotional abuse, subtle put-downs, insults disguised as jokes, and constant criticism can erode your self-esteem. You begin to question your worth, inconsistency, moments of intense affection followed by withdrawal or coldness. These highs and lows create emotional turbulence, leaving you anxious and craving approval. Lack of accountability. A toxic partner rarely admits wrongdoing or takes responsibility. Mistakes are always blamed on you, circumstances, or misunderstandings. Isolation. Toxic partners may subtly or overtly isolate you from friends, family, or support systems. This strengthens their control and makes it harder for you to seek help. Understanding these patterns is essential because awareness is the first step toward freedom. Once you can see the behavior clearly, you begin to regain control over your choices. The emotional toll of toxic love. Being in a toxic relationship is exhausting. It drains your energy, confuses your emotions, and can even impact your physical health. You may feel anxious, depressed, or emotionally numb. Sleep becomes difficult. You may experience changes in appetite or chronic stress. Your self-esteem may erode over time, leaving you feeling unworthy or incapable of love outside the toxic relationship. Toxic love doesn't just affect your mental state, it affects your sense of self. You may begin to lose touch with your passions, your goals, and your identity. What you once loved to do may no longer bring joy. Friends and family may notice changes in you, but it's often difficult to accept when you are in the middle of it. The emotion. Our toll can be devastating, but it is also a call to action, a signal that change is necessary for your well-being, while letting go is not weakness. Leaving a toxic relationship is not a sign of failure or weakness. It is an act of courage and self-respect. Many people feel guilt, shame, or fear when considering ending a relationship, especially if there was love, shared history, or emotional attachment. But the truth is, staying in a toxic situation can prevent growth, healing, and the possibility of experiencing genuine love in the future. Letting go allows you to reclaim your autonomy, set healthy boundaries, and prioritize your mental and emotional health. It is the first step toward rebuilding your life on your terms. Remember, love should never cost your peace, dignity, or sense of self. The journey ahead. This audiobook is a guide, not a prescription. It will provide insights, strategies, and practical steps for recognizing toxic love, letting go, and healing. You will learn how to identify the patterns that keep you trapped, understand your own emotional responses, and build the skills necessary to move forward with confidence and self-compassion. You may experience fear, sadness, or anger along the way. These are natural parts of the healing process, but with each step you reclaim more of yourself, the parts that were lost or suppressed in the toxic relationship. By the end, you will not only be free from the chains of toxic love, but you will also discover the strength, resilience, and beauty that was always within you. Key takeaways from Chapter 1. Toxic love often begins subtly, with charm and affection, making it difficult to recognize at first. Staying in a toxic relationship is often driven by fear, attachment, and self-blame, not weakness. Recognizing patterns of control, manipulation, and emotional abuse is essential for freedom. The emotional toll of toxic love can affect your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. Letting go is an act of courage, self-respect, and the first step toward rediscovering yourself. What is toxic love? Love is meant to nurture, inspire, and bring joy, but toxic love does the opposite. Before you can let go, you must understand what makes love toxic, why it develops, and how it affects the people involved. Toxic love is not just an unpleasant experience, it's a complex emotional pattern that can impact your mental health, self-esteem, and overall well-being. This chapter will guide you through the nature of toxic love, its various forms, and why it can be so difficult to break free. Defining toxic love. At its core, toxic love is any relationship that causes consistent emotional, mental, or even physical harm. It is characterized by patterns of control, manipulation, disrespect, or neglect. While occasional conflict is normal in any relationship, toxic love is defined by repeated negative patterns that outweigh positive moments. Toxic love is often disguised as intense passion or love at all costs, which makes it difficult to recognize. For example, someone might justify controlling behavior by saying, "I only want what's best for you," or defend verbal abuse with, "I'm passionate, that's why I react this way." In truth, these behaviors are harmful, and over time they can erode your sense of self and ability to trust your own instincts. Why toxic love happens? Toxic love does not appear out of nowhere. It often stems from unmet emotional needs, unhealthy attachment styles, or learned behaviors from past relationships or childhood experiences. Some common causes include insecurity and fear. Partners who feel insecure may attempt to control or manipulate to feel more secure. This can manifest as jealousy, possessiveness, or constant testing of your loyalty. Unresolved trauma, past trauma, can shape how individuals behave in relationships. Someone who experienced neglect or abuse may unconsciously recreate similar dynamics in adult relationships. Poor communication. Skills without healthy communication, frustration, misunderstanding, and resentment can turn minor conflicts into toxic cycles. Attachment styles. People with anxious, avoidant, or disorganized attachment styles may struggle to maintain healthy relationships, often creating dependency or emotional distance. Understanding the root causes of toxic love does not excuse the behavior, but it helps you see that it is a learned pattern, not a random failure of love. Recognizing this allows you to separate the actions from your worth and gives you the clarity needed to make healthy choices. The many faces of toxic love. Toxic love is not one size fits all, it can take many forms. Recognizing the variety of toxic behaviors will help you identify patterns in your own relationships. Here are some common types. 1. Emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation is when someone intentionally plays with your feelings to achieve control. This may include guilt-tripping, gaslighting, or passive-aggressive behavior. For instance, if your partner frequently says, "If you really loved me, you would," they are using guilt to influence your actions. Gaslighting is particularly insidious, making you doubt your own memory, perception, or sanity. 2. Constant criticism. Criticism is normal in relationships, but constant or destructive criticism is toxic. Partners who consistently belittle you, insult your choices, or demean your achievements are undermining your self-esteem. Over time, you may start internalizing these messages and believe you are inherently flawed. 3. Extreme jealousy and possessiveness. A partner who does not allow you to have friendships, pursue your passions, or make independent decisions is displaying toxic possessiveness. Extreme jealousy often masks insecurity and creates an environment where you feel trapped and monitored rather than loved and supported. 4. Control and domination. Some relationships are toxic because one partner insists on controlling every aspect of the other's life: finances, friendships, daily routines, or even thoughts and opinions. Control in the guise of love is a dangerous form of manipulation that erodes autonomy and fosters dependency. 5. Inconsistent behavior. Many toxic relationships have intense highs and lows. One day, your partner may be affectionate, loving, and apologetic. The next day, distant, cold, or cruel. These unpredictable swings create emotional chaos and keep you constantly striving for approval and affection, much like a psychological addiction. 6. Neglect and indifference. Not all toxicity comes through aggression. Sometimes toxic love is subtle, expressed through neglect, emotional withdrawal, or indifference. A partner who consistently ignores your needs, refuses to communicate, or withholds affection is damaging your emotional well-being over time. Why it's so hard to leave? Toxic love can feel like a trap because it activates powerful emotional and psychological responses. The brain interprets moments of affection or reconciliation as rewards, creating a cycle of hope and despair. Here's why it's so difficult to walk away. Emotional dependency, the highs and lows create a craving for love, validation, or attention, similar to addictive substances. Fear of loss, even when you are unhappy, the idea of losing someone you love or someone you hoped would be a lifelong partner can be terrifying. Hope for change, you may convince yourself that things will improve if you try harder, remain patient, or give love more time. Self-blame, toxic partners often shift the responsibility for problems onto you. You begin to feel guilty or inadequate, thinking the relationship's dysfunction is your fault. These factors combine to make leaving a toxic relationship feel impossible, even when every logical sign points to the need for separation. The consequences of toxic love. Staying in a toxic relationship has consequences beyond momentary unhappiness. It affects your emotional, and even physical health. Mental health, chronic stress, anxiety, depression, and emotional exhaustion are common. Self-esteem, constant criticism and manipulation gradually erode self-confidence. Trust issues, prolonged exposure to toxic behavior makes it difficult to trust others in future relationships. Isolation, toxic relationships often isolate you from support systems, leaving you more dependent on the relationship. Emotional patterns, repeated exposure to toxicity may normalize unhealthy behavior, making it difficult to recognize red flags in the future. Understanding these consequences is essential. It is not fear-mongering, it is clarity. Recognizing the damage allows you to prioritize healing and create boundaries that protect your well-being. Why understanding is the first step to freedom. Knowledge is power. Understanding what toxic love looks like, why it happens, and how it impacts your life is the first step toward breaking free. Awareness allows you to recognize patterns early, spot unhealthy behavior before it takes a deep emotional toll, validate your feelings, realize that your discomfort, pain, or confusion is legitimate, not imagined, prepare for change, mentally and emotionally prepare for the process of letting go. Empower yourself, take control of your life and your choices rather than feeling trapped. Without understanding, it is easy to blame yourself, ignore warning signs, or remain stuck in cycles that harm your self-esteem and happiness, your emotional compass. Toxic love often clouds judgment, but your emotions are valuable indicators of truth. Pain, anxiety, or chronic worry are signals, not weaknesses. If a relationship consistently leaves you feeling drained, fearful, or inadequate, it is not a reflection of your failure. It is a reflection of an unhealthy dynamic. Learning to trust your emotional compass is a critical skill in navigating relationships and protecting your mental health. Key takeaways from Chapter 2. Toxic love is defined by patterns of control, manipulation, disrespect, or neglect, not by isolated conflicts. Toxic behavior often stems from insecurity, trauma, attachment issues, or learned patterns. There are many forms of toxic love, including emotional manipulation, criticism, jealousy, control, inconsistency, and neglect. Leaving toxic love is difficult due to emotional dependency, fear, hope, and self-blame. Prolonged exposure to toxic love has severe emotional, mental, and physical consequences. Awareness and understanding are the first steps toward freedom, healing, and self-empowerment. By understanding what toxic love is and how it operates, you are beginning a journey toward emotional liberation. The next chapter will help you identify specific signs of toxic love in your own relationships, so you can begin assessing your situation with clarity and courage. Signs you're in a toxic relationship. Recognizing toxic love is often the hardest step in the healing journey. When you are emotionally involved with someone, it can be difficult to see patterns clearly. You may rationalize harmful behaviors or blame yourself for conflicts. But understanding the specific signs of a toxic relationship can help you regain clarity and make empowered choices. This chapter explores the most common indicators, how they manifest, and what they mean for your emotional health. 1. Constant criticism and belittling. One of the most obvious signs of a toxic relationship is persistent criticism. While constructive feedback can help relationships grow, chronic criticism erodes self-esteem. A toxic partner may insult your choices, appearance, or achievements, make sarcastic remarks disguised as jokes, compare you unfavorably to others, leaving you feeling inadequate. Over time, this constant judgment can make you doubt your abilities, decisions, and worth. You may start to internalize the negative messages, believing that you are the problem. Example: imagine you G. A promotion at work. Instead of celebrating with you, your partner says, "Well, you only got it because your boss felt sorry for you." A single comment might sting, but repeated belittling creates a pattern of emotional harm. 2. Emotional manipulation. Manipulation is a hallmark of toxic love. Toxic partners may twist reality, play mind games, or exploit your vulnerabilities to control you. Common tactics include guilt tripping: "If you really loved me, you would," gaslighting, denying or rewriting past events to make you question your memory or perception, silent treatment, withholding affection or communication as punishment. Manipulation is particularly dangerous because it undermines your confidence and sense of reality. You may feel constantly confused or anxious, trying to navigate a relationship that feels unpredictable and unfair. 3. Extreme jealousy and possessiveness. Love and care do not require control. Toxic partners often display excessive jealousy, attempting to limit your independence or isolate you from friends and family. This possessiveness may include monitoring your calls, texts, or social media, discouraging friendships or hobbies, expressing anger or suspicion when you spend time with others. Possessiveness is a form of control disguised as love. It limits your freedom, creates emotional dependency, and reinforces the toxic dynamic. 4. Unpredictable behavior and emotional roller coasters. A hallmark of toxic love is inconsistency. One moment your partner may be affectionate, apologetic, or loving. The next they are cold, distant, or angry. This cycle creates an emotional roller coaster, which can be addictive. You may find yourself constantly trying to regain their approval, feeling euphoric during reconciliation but anxious during withdrawal, questioning your worth and fearing their disapproval. These highs and lows create psychological dependence, making it difficult to leave even when the relationship is harmful.
5. Lack
of accountability. In healthy relationships, both partners take responsibility for mistakes. In toxic relationships, accountability is rare. Toxic partners often blame you for conflicts or their own mistakes, avoid apologies or downplay harmful behavior, shift responsibility to external circumstances or your perceived shortcomings. This refusal to accept responsibility reinforces the imbalance of power and can leave you feeling isolated and undervalued. 6. Isolation from friends and family. Toxic love often involves subtle or overt attempts to isolate you from your support system. This may include criticizing your friends or family, making you feel guilty for spending time with others, interfering with social events or travel. Isolation ensures that the toxic partner becomes your primary or sole source of validation and emotional support. Without other perspectives, it becomes harder to recognize the toxicity. 7. Feeling constantly drained or anxious. A strong indicator of a toxic relationship is chronic emotional exhaustion. You may feel nervous or anxious about your partner's reactions, sad, frustrated, or resentful more often than happy or loved, tired of walking on eggshells to avoid conflict. Love should energize you, not deplete you. If your relationship consistently leaves you drained, it is a sign that the emotional environment is harmful. 8. Suppression of your identity. Toxic relationships often erode individuality. You may notice losing interest in hobbies or passions that you once loved, changing opinions, behavior, or appearance to appease your partner, feeling like you cannot express your thoughts or feelings freely. In a healthy relationship, both partners encourage personal growth.
In a toxic one, individuality is often suppressed to maintain control. 9.
Fear of conflict or expressing needs. Fear is a common tool in toxic relationships. If you feel afraid to express your feelings honestly, ask for support, or set boundaries, then your relationship may be toxic. Love should not require self-censorship or fear. Emotional safety is a cornerstone of any healthy connection. 10. Repeated patterns of hurt. Finally, a clear sign of toxicity is recurring patterns of harm. This may include repeated verbal or emotional abuse, betrayal or dishonesty, broken promises, and unfulfilled commitments. Patterns like these indicate that the behavior is not a one-time mistake but a structural issue in the relationship, while recognition is empowering. Identifying these signs is not about labeling your partner or feeling shame. It is about clarity and self-protection. Awareness allows you to validate your feelings, realize that your discomfort is justified, understand patterns, see how behaviors are connected and repetitive, make conscious choices, decide whether to set boundaries, seek help, or exit the relationship. The power lies in acknowledging what is happening instead of denying or rationalizing it. Recognition is the first step toward reclaiming your autonomy. Practical steps after recognition. Observe patterns. Start keeping a journal of interactions that hurt or confuse you. Over time, patterns will become clear. Check your feelings. Ask yourself how the relationship makes you feel most of the time. Drained, anxious, or fearful may indicate toxicity. Seek external perspective. Trusted friends, family, or a therapist can provide an objective view of the situation. Prioritize safety. If the relationship includes abuse, emotional, physical, or financial, safety should be your first concern. Remember, awareness alone is empowering. It sets the stage for action, healing, and eventual freedom. Key takeaways from Chapter 3. Persistent criticism, manipulation, jealousy, and inconsistency are primary signs of toxic love. Toxic relationships often isolate you from friends, family, and personal growth. Chronic anxiety, exhaustion, and fear indicate an unhealthy dynamic. Suppression of identity and repeated patterns of hurt are clear indicators of toxicity. Recognition of these signs is a powerful first step toward healing and reclaiming control. Observation, self-reflection, and seeking external perspective help you assess the relationship clearly. Why we stay, emotional traps, and patterns. Even when a relationship is clearly toxic, leaving can feel impossible. Many people find themselves trapped in cycles of pain, hope, and emotional dependency. Understanding why we stay is crucial to breaking free from these patterns. It is not weakness or foolishness. It is the result of complex emotional, psychological, and sometimes social factors. This chapter will explore these dynamics, helping you recognize the forces that keep you tied to toxic love and prepare for liberation, the pull of emotional attachment. Human beings are wired for connection. From birth, we rely on attachment to survive and thrive. This deep-seated need does not disappear in adulthood. Instead, it becomes as the foundation for romantic love. In toxic relationships, attachment can become a double-edged sword. When a partner alternates between affection and withdrawal, our brains become conditioned to seek the next reward, much like an addiction. The intermittent moments of love, an apology, a kind gesture, or reconciliation after a fight trigger the brain's reward system. This creates a cycle of craving and temporary satisfaction, making it difficult to leave even when we feel miserable. Most of the time, fear of being alone. Fear is one of the most powerful reasons people stay in toxic relationships. Many of us equate being alone with failure, rejection, or loneliness. Even when a relationship is harmful, the prospect of solitude can feel more frightening than the discomfort of toxicity. This fear is amplified by cultural, social, and familial pressures. We are often taught that love is a measure of worth, that real love lasts forever, or that leaving a relationship is shameful. The SE beliefs can make you cling to a toxic partner out of fear rather than love, hope for change. Hope is a double-edged sword. While optimism is a healthy trait in toxic relationships, it can trap you in a cycle of unrealistic expectations. You may believe, if I love harder, they will change. This is just a rough patch, things will get better. I can fix them if I try. These beliefs can create an endless loop of disappointment. While hope can inspire growth in healthy relationships, in toxic ones, it sustains patterns of harm, low self-esteem, and self-blame. Toxic relationships often erode self-esteem. Over time, you may start to believe that you are the cause of the problems, that you are unworthy of better treatment, or that you cannot find love elsewhere. Self-blame is a powerful trap. When you internalize responsibility for someone else's harmful behavior, you feel obligated to stay, hoping that your efforts will correct the situation. This emotional pattern keeps people trapped long after the relationship has become damaging. The role of trauma and attachment patterns. Past experiences can shape how we respond to toxic love. Unresolved trauma, childhood neglect, or previous abusive relationships can make individuals more susceptible to toxic patterns. For example, anxious attachment. Individuals may cling to partners for fear of abandonment, even when the relationship is harmful. Avoidant attachment. Individuals may rationalize staying in toxic relationships to avoid loneliness or conflict. Disorganized attachment. Individuals may oscillate between seeking closeness and pushing the partner away, creating a cycle of dependency and distress. Understanding your attachment style can provide insight into why you may feel stuck and how to break the cycle, manipulation, and control in the relationship. Toxic partners often use subtle or overt manipulation to maintain control. Emotional abuse, guilt, gaslighting, and threats are common tools. The manipulative partner creates confusion, doubt, and dependency, making you question your own judgment. Even if you intellectually recognize the abuse, emotional attachment, fear, and hope can override rational thinking. This is why many victims of toxic love feel trapped, despite knowing the relationship is unhealthy. Cultural and social pressures. Societal expectations also play a role. Many cultures place immense value on staying in relationships, marriage, or long-term partnerships, even at personal cost. You may feel judged by family, friends, or society for leaving, which can reinforce emotional inertia. Statements like, marriage is forever, you should forgive and work it out, you'll never find someone better, can create additional pressure to remain, feeding the illusion that leaving is the greater harm, the fear of change. Leaving a toxic relationship often requires a leap into the unknown. Change is inherently frightening, especially when you are emotionally dependent on someone. You may fear being alone or starting over, losing financial, social, or emotional stability, facing the pain of separation and grief. This fear can make staying feel safer than leaving, even when staying is detrimental to your mental health. The cycle of love, pain, and reconciliation. Toxic relationships often follow a predictable cycle. Honeymoon phase, the relationship begins with charm, affection, and intense connection. Conflict phase, criticism, manipulation, or emotional withdrawal begins. Breakdown, tension escalates, emotional distress increases, and the victim feels trapped. Reconciliation, occasional gestures of love or apologies provide hope, reinforcing attachment. This cycle is emotionally addictive. The intermittent rewards trigger the brain's pleasure centers, creating a pattern that is difficult to break without conscious effort. The cost of remaining in a toxic relationship has significant consequences. Mental health, I see stress, anxiety, depression, and emotional exhaustion. Physical health, sleep disturbances, headaches, and other stress-related ailments. Self-esteem, persistent self-doubt, and diminished confidence. Future relationships, difficulty trusting others or recognizing healthy love. Identity loss, suppression of personal goals, passions, and individuality. Acknowledging these costs is critical. While leaving may seem daunting, staying often carries a heavier long-term price. Breaking free starts with understanding. Understanding why we stay is empowering. It allows you to recognize that attachment, fear, and hope are natural, not signs of weakness. Identify the emotional traps that keep you in the cycle. Prepare mentally and emotionally for the process of letting go. Realize that liberation is possible and within your control. Awareness is the foundation for change. Once you understand the forces keeping you tied to toxic love, you can begin to dismantle them. Practical straight. Keys for awareness. Journaling, track patterns, emotional triggers, and recurring conflicts. Emotional check-ins. Regularly ask yourself how the relationship affects your feelings and self-worth. External feedback, trusted friends, family, or a therapist can provide perspective. Set micro boundaries. Practice asserting small boundaries to regain a sense of control and clarity. These steps build awareness and resilience, preparing you for the next stage, letting go and healing. Key takeaways from Chapter 4. Emotional attachment, fear, and hope are powerful reasons people stay in toxic relationships. Low self-esteem and self-blame reinforce dependency. Past trauma and attachment styles influence vulnerability to toxic love. Manipulation, societal pressures, and fear of change keep individuals trapped. Toxic relationships often follow a cycle of love, conflict, and reconciliation, creating emotional addiction. Awareness of these patterns is the first step toward liberation and healing. The heartbreak phase, feeling and accepting pain. Leaving a toxic relationship is rarely a simple act. It is an emotional journey filled with grief, relief, confusion, and sometimes guilt. Once the decision is made to step away, many people experience the heartbreak phase, a period of intense emotional processing. This chapter explores the stages of heartbreak, the importance of feeling your emotions fully, and how to navigate this challenging yet transformative period. Understanding heartbreak. Heartbreak is more than sadness. It is a complex mix of emotions: grief for what was lost, anger at the harm done, guilt for leaving, and fear of the future. Even when a relationship was toxic, it is natural to mourn the attachment, the shared memories, and the hope you once had. Heartbreak is a necessary stage. It allows you to process the trauma, release emotional tension, and begin healing. Suppressing these feelings or pretending everything is fine only prolongs the pain and can lead to unresolved trauma. Stages of heartbreak. Although everyone's experience is unique, the heartbreak phase often follows a recognizable pattern. 1. Shock and disbelief. Initially, leaving a toxic relationship may feel surreal. You may experience denial that the relationship is truly over, confusion about why it had to end, a sense of unreality, as if life is temporarily on pause. This stage is a natural defense mechanism, helping your mind gradually adjust to the significant change. 2. Pain and grief. Once the shock fades, intense emotions emerge: sorrow for the lost attachment, anger at the partner or situation, regret or guilt for choices made. These feelings can be overwhelming, but they are essential for emotional release. Allowing yourself to feel grief validates the depth of your experience and begins the process of emotional recovery. 3. Anxiety and fear. Heartbreak often brings uncertainty. Questions like, will I ever find love again? Or can I survive alone? May dominate your thoughts. This stage is natural as your brain adjusts to a significant change in emotional attachment. While frightening, anxiety is temporary and diminishes as you rebuild confidence and self-trust. 4. Reflection and self-understanding. As the initial intensity wanes, reflection emerges. You begin to analyze the relationship and recognize patterns of toxicity, understand your emotional responses and vulnerabilities, identify lessons learned and personal growth opportunities. This stage transforms heartbreak into insight, providing a foundation for lasting change. 5. Acceptance and renewal. Acceptance does not mean forgetting or condoning harm. It means acknowledging reality. You recognize that the relationship ended for valid reasons and that your emotional survival is paramount. Acceptance opens the door to healing, personal growth, and eventually the possibility of healthy relationships. The importance of feeling your emotions. It is tempting to avoid pain through distraction, denial, or numbing behaviors. Many people turn to work, social media, alcohol, or other coping mechanisms to suppress heartbreak. While temporary relief may feel comforting, it prevents true healing. Fully feeling your emotions allows you to process grief and trauma, release lingering attachment to the toxic partner, restore emotional balance and resilience. Heartbreak is painful, but it is also transformative. Embracing your emotions is the first step in reclaiming your sense of self. Common emotional experiences during heartbreak. During this phase, you may experience a wide range of emotions. Sadness, a profound sense of loss, is natural, even if the relationship was harmful. Anger, frustration toward your partner, yourself, or circumstances can surface. Guilt and shame. You may question whether leaving was the right choice or feel societal pressure to forgive and forget. Fear and anxiety. The unknown future can create uncertainty and apprehension. Relief and liberation. Paradoxically, leaving toxic love can bring moments of freedom, clarity, and lightness. Recognizing these emotions as normal and valid helps you navigate the heartbreak phase with compassion for yourself. Practical strategies for processing heartbreak. 1. Allow yourself to cry and feel. Suppressing tears or emotions only prolongs the pain. Crying is a natural release of tension and grief. Let yourself experience the full spectrum of feelings without judgment. 2. Journal your thoughts and emotions. Writing down your experiences can clarify your feelings, reveal patterns, and provide a safe space for self-expression. Journaling helps process grief and reduces mental clutter. 3. Seek support. Talk to trusted friends, family, or a therapist. Supportive connections validate your feelings and provide perspective. Avoid isolation, which can amplify emotional distress. 4. Set emotional boundaries. During heartbreak, it is crucial to minimize contact with the toxic partner. This may mean blocking communication, unfollowing on social media, or avoiding environments where they are present. Boundaries protect your healing process and prevent emotional relapse. 5. Engage in self-care. Heartbreak can leave you emotionally depleted. Nourish yourself through adequate sleep, healthy eating, exercise, relaxation techniques, meditation, deep breathing, or mindfulness. Self-care reinforces your emotional resilience and rebuilds the energy that toxic love drained. 6. Reflect without self-blame. Examine the relationship objectively. Identify lessons learned and patterns to avoid in the future. Avoid blaming yourself. Remember that toxicity is the partner's responsibility, not yours. Transforming pain into growth. Heartbreak, though painful, is an opportunity for transformation. The emotional intensity forces introspection and self-awareness. Through heartbreak, you can reconnect with your values, passions, and identity, build emotional resilience, and self-trust. Learn to recognize healthy love versus toxic patterns. Strengthen boundaries and decision-making skills. The heartbreak phase is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a journey toward empowerment and emotional freedom. Mindfulness and heartbreak. Mindfulness practices can be particularly helpful during this stage. Being present with your emotions without judgment or resistance reduces rumination and anxiety. Simple exercises include observing your emotions. Notice how sadness, anger, or fear manifests in your body. Breathing techniques. Slow, deep breaths help regulate emotional intensity. Grounding exercises focus on physical sensations, such as feeling your feet on the ground, to stay present and reduce emotional overwhelm. Mindfulness fosters clarity, self-compassion, and patience during the healing process. Key takeaways from Chapter 5. Heartbreak is a natural and necessary part of leaving toxic love. The heartbreak phase often includes stages O. Shock, grief, anxiety, reflection, and acceptance. Fully feeling your emotions allows for healing and personal growth. Emotional experiences like sadness, anger, guilt, and relief are all valid. Practical strategies, journaling, support boundaries, self-care, and mindfulness aid in processing heartbreak. Heartbreak can transform pain into insight, resilience, and renewed self-awareness. Identifying your own role. When healing from toxic love, it's natural to focus on the actions of the partner who caused harm. However, understanding your own role in the relationship without falling into self-blame is crucial for long-term growth. Reflecting on your patterns, choices, and behaviors allows you to recognize how you contributed, if unintentionally, to the dynamics that made the relationship toxic. This chapter will guide you through self-awareness, accountability, and self-compassion as you examine your role, why self-reflection matters. Self-reflection is not about assigning blame to yourself, it's about understanding your actions, boundaries, and emotional responses. When we ignore our part in toxic dynamics, we risk repeating similar patterns in future relationships. Conversely, insight into our behavior allows us to recognize unhealthy attachment patterns, strengthen boundaries, improve communication skills, make empowered choices in future relationships. Self-awareness is a tool for liberation. It helps you break free from cycles of toxic love and build healthier, more fulfilling connections, common patterns that contribute to toxic dynamics. Many people unknowingly engage in behaviors that enable toxicity. Recognizing these patterns is not about guilt, it's about learning and growth. 1. Over-accommodation. Sometimes we prioritize the partner's needs above our own. Over-accommodation can include constantly adjusting your schedule or plans to appease the partner, ignoring your own feelings to avoid conflict, suppressing opinions or desires to maintain peace. While compromise is healthy, excessive self-sacrifice can create imbalance and foster dependency in a relationship. 2. Fear of conflict. Avoiding confrontation may feel safe, but it can reinforce toxic behavior. Fear of expressing needs or boundaries allows harmful actions to continue unchecked. Patterns include not speaking up when hurt, agreeing to things you are uncomfortable with, minimizing your feelings to prevent arguments. Learning to communicate assertively is essential for healthy relationships. 3. Seeking validation outside yourself. Relying solely on a partner for emotional validation or self-worth can create dependency. Signs include constantly seeking reassurance, feeling incomplete or unworthy without the partner's approval, overreacting to perceived rejection or indifference. Healthy love involves mutual support, not the need for constant validation. 4. Enabling or excusing toxic behavior. Sometimes we rationalize or justify harmful behavior because of love, hope, or fear. This may include making excuses for manipulation or abuse, blaming external circumstances instead of addressing the behavior, believing the partner will change if you try harder. While enabling is often unintentional, it contributes to the cycle of toxicity. 5. Ignoring red flags. Early signs of toxicity may be ignored due to hope, infatuation, or denial. Ignoring red flag can include overlooking manipulation, criticism, or possessiveness, minimizing negative incidents as just a phase, rationalizing harmful behavior to maintain attachment. Awareness of red flags is key to protecting yourself and making informed choices. Taking responsibility without self-blame. Recognizing your role does not mean taking full responsibility for the toxicity. Toxic behavior is ultimately the partner's responsibility. Your goal is to understand your patterns, identify behaviors or responses that contributed to unhealthy dynamics, learn from mistakes, reflect on choices that may have enabled toxicity, set healthy boundaries, decide what you will and will not tolerate in future relationships, develop self-compassion, treat yourself with kindness, recognizing that patterns are learned and changeable. This approach shifts the focus from guilt to growth. Accountability empowers you. It does not diminish your value. Self-reflection exercises. 1. Journaling. Write down and specific behaviors, choices, or patterns you recognize in yourself. Reflect on how these behaviors may have interacted with your partner's toxicity. Ask yourself, what can I do differently in future relationships? 2. Emotional mapping. Track triggers, situations that cause strong emotional reactions. Identify why you reacted in certain ways. Fear, insecurity, or past experiences. Understanding triggers helps prevent repeating the same patterns. 3. Boundary assessment. List areas where you allowed your boundaries to be crossed. Consider why it was difficult to assert yourself. Practice setting clear boundaries in safe environments. 4. Seek objective perspective. Share reflections with a trusted friend, therapist, or support group. Objective input can reveal blind spots and provide validation. Avoid judgment, focus on insight and growth. The role of childhood and past trauma. Our early experiences shape how we relate to others. Unresolved trauma, neglect, or unhealthy family dynamics can influence adult relationships. For example, fear of abandonment may lead to clinging or over-accommodation. Low self-worth may make criticism feel devastating. Avoidance patterns may cause withdrawal or emotional suppression. Recognizing these influences allows you to separate learned behaviors from your true self and begin healing from past wounds alongside toxic love, learning to break patterns. Breaking toxic patterns requires intentional effort and self-compassion. Strategies include awareness, acknowledge your patterns without judgment, practice boundaries, start small, asserting needs and limits in daily life, develop emotional regulation. Techniques like mindfulness, breathing, and journaling help manage reactions, rebuild self-worth, engage in activities that reinforce confidence, autonomy, and identity. Therapy or counseling, professional guidance can provide tools to understand and change long-standing patterns. Remember, breaking patterns is a process, not a single event. Progress may be gradual and setbacks are normal. The key is consistent effort and self-compassion. Compassionate self-assessment questions. Do I compromise my values or needs to keep peace? Do I seek constant validation from my partner? Have I ignored red flags due to hope or fear? Do I struggle to assert boundaries? How do my past experiences influence my responses in relationships? Reflecting on these questions helps identify areas for growth and empowers you to create healthier connections in the future. Key takeaways from Chapter 6. Understanding your role is about self-awareness, not self-blame. Common patterns include over-accommodation, fear of conflict, seeking validation, enabling behavior, and ignoring red flags. Childhood experiences and past trauma can influence relationship dynamics. Self-reflection, journaling, boundary assessment, and seeking objective perspectives promote growth. Breaking patterns requires awareness, boundaries, aim, emotional regulation, and self-compassion. Accountability empowers you to make healthier choices and avoid repeating toxic dynamics. Start recognizing manipulation and abuse. Toxic relationships often involve manipulation and abuse, which can be subtle, confusing, and emotionally draining. Many people remain trapped in such relationships because they do not fully recognize the signs. Understanding these behaviors is essential for protecting yourself and taking steps toward healing. This chapter will explore the forms of manipulation and abuse, how to identify them, and why they are so effective at keeping you entangled. Understanding manipulation. Manipulation is any tactic used by a partner to control, influence, or exploit your emotions and behavior for their benefit. It is often subtle, making it difficult to detect, especially when combined with occasional affection or love. Manipulative behavior may appear as concern or care, but is ultimately aimed at gaining power, attention, or complia. Manipulation can be intentional or subconscious, but the effects on the victim are the same: confusion, self-doubt, and emotional dependency. Recognizing manipulation is the first step toward reclaiming your autonomy. Common forms of manipulation. 1. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is a psychological tactic where your partner causes you to question your memory, perception, or reality. Examples include denying things they said or did, even when you remember clearly, twisting events to make you feel at fault, suggesting you are overreacting or imagining problems. Gaslighting erodes self-trust, leaving you dependent on the manipulator for truth. Over time, victims may feel confused, anxious, and emotionally paralyzed. 2. Guilt tripping. Guilt tripping involves making you feel responsible for the partner's emotions or actions. Common phrases include, "If you loved me, you would. I can't believe you would do this to me after all I've done for you. You're hurting me by being unha." This tactic pressures you to act against your needs, reinforcing control while creating feelings of obligation and guilt. 3. Emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmail is using fear, obligation, or guilt to manipulate you. Tactics may include threatening to leave or harm themselves if you do not comply, withholding love, attention, or affection as punishment, exploiting your values, vulnerabilities, or past mistakes to control behavior. Emotional blackmail is particularly damaging because it exploits your empathy and emotional investment. 4. Love bombing and withdrawal. Manipulative partners often alternate extreme affection with emotional withdrawal. Love bombing, intense, overwhelming gestures of love or attention to gain control or manipulate behavior. Withdrawal, coldness, silence, or emotional distance to punish or test loyalty. This cycle creates emotional dependency, making you crave the partner's approval while feeling trapped in fear of abandonment. Recognizing abuse in a toxic relationship can take many forms: emotional, verbal, psychological, or even physical. Emotional and psychological abuse are often the most difficult to identify because they leave no visible scars but deeply impact your mental and emotional health. Signs of emotional and psychological abuse: constant criticism or belittling, public humiliation or private put-downs, controlling your choices, social life or personal habits, threats or intimidation, isolation from friends, family or support networks, invalidation of your feelings and experiences. Emotional abuse undermines your sense of self, leaving you feeling powerless, confused, and anxious. Verbal abuse. Verbal abuse includes insults, name-calling, shouting, or mocking. Unlike occasional arguments, verbal abuse is systematic, repetitive, and designed to harm your self-esteem or create fear. Common patterns include constant criticism disguised as advice, using sarcasm to demean, blaming you for things outside your control. Verbal abuse can cause long-term psychological damage, including anxiety, depression, and chronic self-doubt. Subtle forms of abuse. Not all abuse is overt. Subtle forms may include ignoring or dismissing your feelings, making decisions for you without consent, using affection or attention strategically to manipulate, making you feel guilty for asserting boundaries. These subtle tactics are often harder to identify but can be equally damaging over time. Why victims stay in abusive relationships. Understanding why people stay in manipulative or abusive relationships is critical. Emotional attachment, fear, hope, and self-blame all play a role. Emotional bonds, love and attachment can create strong emotional ties even in harmful relationships. Fear of being alone, facing the unknown, or experiencing retaliation keeps victims trapped. Hope for change, belief that the partner will improve or that the relationship can become healthy, sustains hope. Guilt and self-blame. Victims may internalize responsibility, believing they caused the problems. These psychological mechanisms make leaving difficult but not impossible. Recognizing manipulation triggers. Manipulative partners often exploit vulnerabilities. Common triggers include low self-esteem. If you doubt your worth, you may be more likely to comply with manipulation. Empathy. Highly empathetic individuals often try to soothe the partner's emotions, even at their own expense. fear of conflict, avoiding confrontation, allows manipulation to persist unchecked. Past trauma, previous experiences of abuse or neglect may make you more sensitive to control tactics. Recognizing your triggers empowers you to protect yourself and respond assertively. Practical steps to protect yourself. 1. Learn to trust your perception. Keep a journal of events, conversations, and behaviors. Note patterns and repeated manipulation tactics. Validate your experiences with trusted friends or professionals. 2. Set clear boundaries. Decide what behaviors you will not tolerate. Communicate boundaries calmly and assertively. Enforce consequences if boundaries are violated. 3. Minimize contact if necessary. Reduce exposure to the manipulative partner. Limit communication or interactions to protect your emotional health. Use social media or phone boundaries to avoid emotional triggers. 4. Seek support. Friends, family, and therapists can provide perspective, validation, and guidance. Support networks help break the cycle of isolation often imposed by manipulators. 5. Educate yourself. Understanding manipulation tactics, emotional abuse, and toxic patterns reinforces clarity. Knowledge helps you recognize red flags early and prevent future harm, reclaiming your autonomy. The ultimate goal is to reclaim control over your emotions, decisions, and life. Recognizing manipulation and abuse allows you to identify the patterns keeping you trapped, make informed, empowered decisions about leaving or setting boundaries, rebuild self-esteem, self-trust, and emotional resilience. Prepare for healthier relationships in the future. Remember, awareness is the first step toward freedom. The more clearly you see the manipulative dynamics, the more effectively you can protect yourself. Key takeaways from Chapter 7. Manipulation is any tactic used to control or exploit emotions, often disguised as care or concern. Common forms include gaslighting, guilt-tripping, emotional blackmail, and love-bombing withdrawal cycles. Abuse may be emotional, verbal, psychological, or subtle, but all forms are harmful. Victims stay due to attachment, fear, hope, and self-blame, not weakness. Recognizing manipulation triggers and patterns empowers you to set boundaries and reclaim autonomy. Support, education, and assertive action are essential for breaking free and healing. Facing denial and emotional resistance. Even when a relationship is clearly toxic, one of the greatest barriers to leave is our own mind. Denial, emotional resistance, and rationalization can keep you trapped long after logic tells you it's time to go. This chapter explores the mental and emotional obstacles that prevent people from taking action, why they occur, and practical strategies for overcoming them. Understanding denial. Denial is a psychological defense mechanism that helps us cope with uncomfortable truths. In the context of toxic relationships, denial may appear as minimizing harmful behavior, they didn't mean it. Rationalizing abuse, they're just stressed, it's not that bad. Blaming external factors, if only I had done this differently, it would have worked. While denial temporarily protects you from emotional pain, it also delays healing and keeps you trapped in harmful patterns. Why emotional resistance happens? Emotional resistance is closely linked to denial but operates on a deeper, often subconscious level. It involves an internal reluctance to accept reality or and can manifest as fear of loss. The thought of leaving someone you love can feel unbearable. Fear of loneliness. Even a harmful relationship feels safer than solitude. Fear of change. Ending a relationship requires navigating an unknown future. Fear of judgment. Social, cultural, or familial expectations may reinforce staying. Resistance is not a personal failure. It's a survival mechanism. Recognizing it as such allows you to respond consciously rather than unconsciously. The role of cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance occurs when our beliefs conflict with our experiences. In toxic relationships, you may believe, love is supposed to be permanent. I'm a good person, I shouldn't leave. They will change if I try harder. Yet your daily experience may contradict these beliefs. This internal conflict causes emotional discomfort, which the mind resolves through denial or rationalization. Understanding this helps you see resistance as a natural psychological response, not as weakness. Common patterns of denial, downplaying behavior. You may tell yourself it's not that bad when behaviors are actually harmful. Minimizing protects you from facing pain but delays action. Focusing on the good moments, reminiscing about positive memories or moments of affection can skew perception, making you overestimate the value of the relationship. Blaming yourself, internalizing responsibility for the relationship's dysfunction creates guilt, making leaving feel selfish or wrong. Believing in change, convincing yourself that the partner will improve keeps you hopeful but trapped in the cycle of toxicity. Externalizing the problem, attributing the issue to stress, work, or external pressures prevents recognition of the toxic dynamics at play. Why denial is dangerous. Denial prolongs exposure to emotional, mental, and sometimes physical harm. Staying in a state of resistance can erode self-esteem, increase anxiety and depression, create chronic stress, and physical health issues. Make future relationships more challenging due to unresolved trauma. The longer denial persists, the harder it becomes to break free. Awareness is the key to overcoming it. Practical steps to face denial and resistance. 1. Name the reality. Acknowledge the behaviors and patterns that are harmful. Write them down objectively, separating facts from emotions. Avoid rationalizing or minimizing the severity. Naming the reality gives you clarity and reduces the power of denial. 2. ELPs shift perspective from emotional attachment to logical clarity. 4. Seek objective perspective. Talk to trusted friends, family, or a therapist. External validation can counter distorted thinking caused by denial. Avoid isolation, as manipulators often rely on cutting you off from outside input. 5. Practice mindfulness. Observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Notice moments when you rationalize or minimize toxic behavior. Mindfulness creates a pause between reaction and decision, allowing conscious choices. 6. Focus on self-worth. Remind yourself that you deserve respect, safety, and love. Recognize that leaving a toxic relationship is an act of self-preservation, not selfishness. Engage in activities that reinforce your confidence, independence, and identity. Signs you are beginning to break through denial. You feel less defensive when acknowledging harmful behaviors. You can talk about the relationship objectively without minimizing or rationalizing. Emotional attachment still exists, but your focus shifts towards self-preservation. You begin considering boundaries or separation without overwhelming guilt. You recognize patterns and are willing to take steps toward change. These signs indicate that denial and resistance are weakening and emotional clarity is emerging. The role of emotional courage. Facing denial requires emotional courage, the willingness to confront discomfort, uncertainty, and fear. Courage does not eliminate fear, it allows you to act despite it. Developing this courage involves acknowledging your feelings without judgment, accepting uncertainty as part of change, prioritizing your well-being over emotional attachment, taking small, consistent steps toward detachment. Courage is a muscle. Each act of self-assertion strengthens it. Key takeaways from Chapter 8. Denial and emotional resistance are common barriers in toxic relationships. Denial minimizes harm, rationalizes behavior, and delays healing. Emotional resistance often stems from fear of loss, change, loneliness, or judgment. Cognitive dissonance explains why you may feel conflicted despite recognizing toxicity. Practical steps. Naming reality, tracking patterns, challenging rationalizations, seeking perspective, practicing mindfulness, and building self-worth. Help overcome denial. Emotional courage allows you to act despite fear and begin reclaiming your autonomy, setting boundaries, and reclaiming your power. After recognizing the toxicity, facing denial, and processing the heartbreak, the next critical step in healing is reclaiming your personal power. One of the most effective ways to do this is through setting boundaries. Boundaries are not just rules for others, they are declarations of self-respect and self-care. This chapter will guide you through understanding boundaries, identifying what you need, and implementing them to restore control over your life. What are boundaries? Boundaries are limits that define what is acceptable in relationships and interactions. They communicate your needs, protect your emotional and physical well-being, and create a healthy space between yourself and others. Boundaries are not about controlling someone else. They are about controlling what you allow in your life. They are an essential tool for reclaiming power after a toxic relationship. Why boundaries are crucial after toxic love? Toxic relationships often erode personal boundaries, leaving you vulnerable to manipulation and abuse. Without boundaries, you may feel responsible for someone else's emotions, overcompensate to maintain the relationship, suppress your needs, desires, or opinions, remain stuck in cycles of control, guilt, or fear. Re-establishing boundaries is a step toward emotional independence and self-respect. It signals that you value yourself and refuse to tolerate behavior that undermines your well-being. Types of boundaries. 1. Emotional boundaries. These define your emotional space and protect your feelings, expressing how you feel without fear of judgment or retaliation. Saying no to emotional manipulation or guilt tripping. Choosing not to absorb someone else's negative emotions at your expense. 2. Physical boundaries. Physical boundaries protect your body and personal space, maintaining personal space and comfort in interactions. Setting limits on physical contact. Choosing how and when you engage physically with others. 3. Time boundaries. Time boundaries help you protect your schedule and energy, prioritizing your needs and responsibilities, saying no to demands that drain you, avoiding overcommitment to please others. 4. Material boundaries. Material boundaries involve possessions, finances, and resources, protecting personal belongings and finances, refusing to lend money or items you cannot afford to lose, setting expectations for shared resources in relationships. 5. Mental boundaries. Mental boundaries protect your thoughts, beliefs, and opinions, expressing your perspectives without fear of ridicule, refusing to engage in arguments that compromise your values, choosing what ideas and information you allow to influence you, identifying your needs. Before you can set boundaries, you must identify your personal needs and limits. Ask yourself, what behaviors are unacceptable to me? What emotional, physical, or mental space do I need to feel safe? Which habits or patterns drain my energy or self-worth? How do I want to be treated in my relationships? Your answers form the foundation for clear, actionable boundaries. Practical steps for setting boundaries. 1. Be clear and direct. Communicate boundaries clearly, calmly, and assertively. Avoid vague language or over-explaining. For example, instead of, I guess it's okay if you call anytime, say, I need personal time in the evening so I won't answer calls after 9 p.m. Clarity reduces confusion and sets firm expectations. 2. Start small. If you are new to boundary setting, begin with minor areas. Protect your personal space. Say no to small requests that inconvenience you. Limit interactions with people who drain your energy. Starting small builds confidence and prepares you for larger, more challenging boundaries. 3. Enforce consequences. Boundaries are meaningless without consequences. Decide what actions you will take if a boundary is crossed. Remove yourself from a situation. Limit contact with someone who disrespects limits. Seek support if manipulation or abuse continues. Consistent enforcement signals that your boundaries are serious and non-negotiable. 4. Use assertive communication. Assertiveness balances respect for yourself and others. Techniques include using I statements, I feel upset, when remaining calm and composed, avoiding aggression or passive-aggressive tactics. Assertive communication reinforces boundaries without escalating conflict. 5. Protect your emotional energy. Limit interactions with toxic individuals. Avoid engaging in manipulative or draining conversations. Prioritize relationships that respect your boundaries. Protecting emotional energy is essential for healing and rebuilding self-confidence, reclaiming your power. Setting boundaries is a direct act of reclaiming power. In toxic relationships, power is often stripped away through manipulation, control, and emotional abuse. By establishing limits, you assert your autonomy, rebuild self-respect, reduce opportunities for manipulation, strengthen emotional resilience, create space for healthy reciprocal relationships. Boundaries transform fear and dependency into confidence and self-determination. Common challenges in setting boundaries. 1. Fear of rejection or conflict. Many hesitate to set boundaries due to fear of anger, abandonment, or criticism. Remember, boundaries are about self-care, not punishment or control. 2. Guilt. You may feel guilty for prioritizing your needs. Shift perspective. Caring for yourself is not selfish. It's essential for survival and growth. 3. Pushback from others. Some people will resist or test your boundaries. Firm, consistent enforcement is key. You cannot control their reaction, only your response. 4. Internal resistance. Old habits, attachment patterns, or fear of change may create internal barriers. Practice mindfulness, journaling, and self-affirmations to strengthen your resolve. Affirmations for boundary strengths. Repeating affirmations helps internalize your right to self-respect. I have the right to protect my peace and energy. My needs are valid and important. I am not responsible for others' emotions. Boundaries are an act of love for myself. Affirmations reinforce empowerment and build emotional resilience over time. Key takeaways from Chapter 9. Boundaries are essential for reclaiming power after toxic love. They protect emotional, physical, mental, and material well-being. Identify your needs before setting boundaries. Communicate boundaries clearly, assertively. And consistently enforce consequences when boundaries are violated. Boundaries transform dependency, fear, and manipulation into autonomy, self-respect, and empowerment. Challenges are natural. Fear, guilt, and pushback are opportunities to strengthen your resolve. Detaching emotionally and letting go. One of the most challenging steps in overcoming toxic love is emotional detachment. Even after recognizing toxicity, setting boundaries, and reclaiming power, the heart can remain tied to the past. Letting go is not about forgetting or denying your feelings. It is about freeing yourself from emotional dependence, reclaiming your life, and creating space for healing and growth. This chapter explores the process of emotional detachment, practical strategies, and the mindset required to move forward. What emotional detachment means. Emotional detachment does not mean becoming cold, unfeeling, or indifferent. Instead, it is releasing the obsessive thoughts and emotional dependency tie to the toxic partner. Observing emotions without being overwhelmed or controlled by them. Choosing your own well-being over attachment to someone who harms you. Detachment is a conscious act of self-preservation and empowerment, allowing you to reclaim your emotional balance and independence. Why detachment is difficult. Several factors make detachment particularly challenging in toxic relationships. 1. Emotional addiction. Toxic relationships often create a cycle of highs and lows, moments of love followed by withdrawal or manipulation. This intermittent reinforcement triggers the brain's reward system, creating emotional addiction. Even after recognizing harm, the highs can keep you longing for connection. 2. Deep attachment. Attachment bonds are strong, especially when combined with shared memories, intimacy, and hope. Letting go can feel like losing a part of yourself, even when the relationship is damaging. 3. Hope for change. Even after repeated disappointments, hope persists. They might change, or things could be different. This hope prolongs emotional dependence. 4. Guilt and responsibility. You may feel responsible for the partner's emotions or well-being, making detachment feel selfish or cruel. Understanding these obstacles is the first step in overcoming them. Steps to emotional detachment. 1. Acknowledge the reality. Acceptance is the foundation of detachment. Recognize the relationship was toxic. Your partner's behavior is not your fault. You deserve safety, respect, and emotional well-being. Acknowledgement reduces emotional denial and prepares the mind for letting go. 2. Identify emotional triggers. Recognize situations, memories, or interactions that reignite attachment or emotional pain. Journaling or reflective exercises can help map these triggers. Awareness allows you to anticipate emotional reactions and respond consciously. 3. Practice mindfulness and observation. Observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Notice when you are ruminating or longing for the partner. Mindfulness creates a mental distance, helping you detach from overwhelming emotions. 4. Limit contact and reminders. Reduce or eliminate direct contact if possible. Unfollow or mute on social media to prevent constant reminders. Avoid places or situations that trigger emotional relapse. Distance is crucial for clarity and emotional healing. 5. Reframe your thoughts. Replace obsessive or nostalgic thinking with empowering reframes. I am healing and reclaiming my life. Their actions reflect their choices, not my worth. I release attachment for my own well-being. Reframing strengthens emotional boundaries and reduces longing. 6. Process grief fully. Detachment involves grieving the loss of the relationship, attachment, and the imagined future. Allow yourself to cry or express sadness. Journal emotions and memories. Seek support from trusted friends or therapists. Processing grief prevents lingering emotional dependence. 7. Cultivate self-compassion. Be kind to yourself during detachment. Understand that attachment is natural and hard to break. Forgive yourself for past mistakes or overinvestment. Celebrate small victories in reclaiming independence. Self-compassion strengthens resilience and fosters emotional recovery. 8. Engage in new activities and interests. Rediscover hobbies, passions, and social connections. Build experiences that reinforce identity and self-worth outside the relationship. Engage in personal growth, learning, and self-improvement. New experiences replace emotional fixation with fulfillment and joy. Experience sudden waves of longing or nostalgia, guilt over moving on, emotional setbacks triggered by memories or social interactions. These moments are normal. Relapse is part of the healing process, not a failure. Each time you practice detachment, your resilience grows stronger. The role of forgiveness. Forgiveness is a powerful tool in detachment, but it does not mean condoning abuse. It means letting go of resentment to free yourself emotionally. Recognizing that holding on to anger prolongs pain. Understanding that forgiveness benefits you, not the toxic partner. Forgiveness allows you to detach fully, without carrying the weight of past harm. The mindset of moving forward. Detachment requires adopting a mindset that prioritizes self-respect and growth. You are responsible for your emotional health, not theirs. Letting go is an act of courage and empowerment. The past does not define your future. Healing takes time and patience is part of the process. This mindset fosters clarity, confidence, and emotional freedom. Key takeaways from Chapter 10. Emotional detachment is the process of freeing yourself from dependency on a toxic partner. Detachment does not mean becoming cold, it means observing emotions without being controlled by them. Obstacles include emotional addiction, deep attachment, hope and guilt, steps to detachment. Acknowledge reality, identify triggers, practice mindfulness, limit contact, reframe thoughts, process grief, cultivate self-compassion, engage in new activities, and affirm freedom. Emotional setbacks are normal. Resilience grows with each practice. Forgiveness is for your own peace and aids in complete detachment. Adopting a mindset of self-respect, patience, and growth strengthens emotional independence and prepares for healthier relationships. Rebuilding self-esteem and confidence. After detaching from toxic love, one of the most essential steps in your healing journey is rebuilding self-esteem and confidence. Toxic relationships often erode your sense of worth, leaving self-doubt, guilt, and insecurity in their wake. This chapter explores how to restore your self-esteem, reclaim your confidence, and reconnect with your true identity, understanding the impact of toxic love on self-esteem. Toxic relationships can damage self-esteem in multiple ways. Constant criticism, persistent belittling or blame can make you feel unworthy or inadequate. Manipulation, gaslighting, and guilt-tripping can undermine your self-trust and confidence. Over-accommodation, suppressing your needs to appease a partner may make you feel invisible or unimportant. Isolation, being cut off from friends or family reinforces self-doubt and dependency. Recognizing the ways your self-esteem has been affected is the first step toward rebuilding it. The connection between self-esteem and confidence. Self-esteem is how you value yourself, your sense of worth and self-respect. Confidence is your belief in your abilities to act, make decisions, and achieve goals. Healthy self-esteem forms the foundation for confidence. Without self-worth, confidence can feel hollow or unstable. Rebuilding self-esteem first strengthens your inner sense of authority and empowerment. Steps to rebuild self-esteem. 1. Practice self-acceptance. Accept yourself as you are, including imperfections and past mistakes. Avoid comparing yourself to others or idealized standards. Recognize that self-worth is intrinsic. It does not depend on validation from anyone else. Exercise, stand in front of a mirror and list 5 qualities you like about yourself, no matter how small. Repeat daily. 2. Challenge negative self-talk. Toxic relationships often leave you with an inner critic. Identify and reframe negative thoughts. Instead of "I'm not good enough," say "I am worthy of respect and love." Replace self-criticism with affirmations that reinforce value and capability. 3. Set achievable goals. Start with small, realistic goals to build a sense of accomplishment. Celebrate successes, even minor ones, to reinforce competence. Gradually increase the complexity of your goals to expand confidence. 4. Reconnect with your strengths. Identify personal skills, talents, and qualities you may have neglected. Engage in activities that highlight your abilities. Remind yourself of past achievements to strengthen self-belief. 5. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a friend. Forgive yourself for past mistakes or vulnerabilities. Understand that healing takes time, and setbacks are normal. 6. Surround yourself with positive influence. Seek supportive, encouraging relationships. Distance yourself from toxic individuals who undermine your growth. Join groups, communities, or activities that nurture self-esteem and confidence. 7. Reclaim personal autonomy. Make decisions for yourself without seeking approval from others. Practice saying no when needed, asserting your boundaries. Engage in activities that affirm your independence and control over your life. Building confidence through action. Confidence is not a feeling, it is a skill built through practice. Key strategies include: face challenges, step outside your comfort zone gradually to prove to yourself that you can handle difficulties, take responsibility, own your decisions and actions, reinforcing a sense of agency. Celebrate effort, not just results. Recognize that effort itself builds resilience and competence. Learn and grow. View setbacks as opportunities to gain wisdom rather than evidence of inadequacy. Healing your inner child. Many people carry unresolved wounds from childhood into toxic relationships. Healing your inner child helps rebuild self-esteem. Acknowledge past pain. Recognize experiences that shaped self-doubt or fear of rejection. Provide nurturing. Offer yourself compassion, care, and validation your inner child may have lacked. Reparenting practices. Engage in affirmations, creative expression, or comforting rituals to restore a sense of safety and love. Reconnecting with your identity. Toxic love can blur your sense of self, leaving you defined by the relationship. Rebuilding self-esteem involves rediscovering who you are, Reflect on your values, passions, and goals. Engage in hobbies, education, or creative pursuits that bring fulfillment. Spend time alone to understand your needs, desires, and boundaries. The stronger your connection with your own identity, the less likely you are to be swayed by unhealthy attachments in the future. Affirmations for self-esteem and confidence. Daily affirmations reinforce internal validation. I am worthy of love, respect, and happiness. I trust myself to make the best decisions for my life. I honor my feelings and needs. I am capable, strong, and resilient. Every day, I grow more confident and self-assured. Repeating these affirmations fosters an internal sense of worth and empowerment. Key takeaways from Chapter 11. Toxic relationships often erode self-esteem and confidence. Rebuilding self-esteem is the foundation for lasting confidence. Strategies include self-acceptance, challenging negative self-talk, setting goals, reconnecting with strengths, practicing self-compassion, surrounding yourself with positive influence, and reclaiming autonomy. Confidence grows through action, facing challenges, taking responsibility, and learning from setbacks. Healing the inner child helps restore self-worth and emotional resilience. Reconnecting with your identity ensures independence and reduces susceptibility to future toxic relationships. Affirmations reinforce internal validation, helping maintain self-esteem and confidence. Cultivating healthy relationships. After leaving toxic love and rebuilding your self-esteem, the next step in your healing journey is learning to cultivate healthy, supportive relationships. Healthy relationships are based on mutual respect, trust, and care, not control, manipulation, or dependency. This chapter explores the qualities of healthy relationships, how to attract them, and practical strategies to maintain them. What defines a healthy relationship? A healthy relationship is not perfect. Every connection has challenges, but it demonstrates the following key qualities. 1. Mutual respect. Both partners honor each other's feelings, values, and boundaries. Differences are acknowledged without judgment or belittlement. Respect creates a safe environment for vulnerability and growth. 2. Trust and honesty. Transparency and truthfulness form the foundation of trust. Partners feel secure, expressing their needs and emotions without fear of deception or betrayal. Trust is built through consistent, reliable behavior over time. 3. Emotional support. Partners provide encouragement, understanding, and empathy. Emotional support includes listening without judgment, validating feelings, and offering comfort during challenges. Support should be reciprocal, not one-sided. 4. Healthy communication. Open, honest, and respectful communication is essential. Conflict is handled constructively. Focusing on solutions rather than blame, both parties feel heard and understood. 5. Independence and interdependence. Healthy relationships balance connection with autonomy. Each person maintains individuality, hobbies, and friendships. Interdependence, mutual reliance without losing identity, is encouraged. 6. Shared values and goals. Aligning on fundamental values and life goals strengthens compatibility. Differences are respected but not ignored if they threaten long-term harmony. Shared vision fosters partnership and mutual support, identifying red flags early. Even in the pursuit of healthy love, recognizing potential red flags is critical early. Detection prevents repeating toxic patterns. Excessive control or jealousy, manipulation or guilt-tripping, inconsistent or erratic behavior, lack of accountability or responsibility, disrespect of boundaries. Trust your instincts and honor your boundaries. Early recognition saves emotional energy and prevents harm, preparing yourself for healthy relationships. Before entering a new relationship, ensure you are emotionally ready. 1. Emotional healing. Complete the process of detachment and grief from the toxic relationship. Address lingering self-doubt, resentment, or trauma. Seek therapy or support groups if needed. 2. Clear boundaries. Know your limits and communicate them confidently. Boundaries protect your emotional space and reinforce respect. Being clear about what you will and will not accept prevents future toxicity. 3. Self-awareness. Understand your triggers, values, and needs. Recognize patterns from past relationships and avoid repeating harmful behaviors. Awareness fosters emotional intelligence and better relationship choices. Attracting healthy relationships. Healthy relationships are more likely to emerge when you embody self-respect, confidence, and self-esteem, attract partners who value and respect you, engage in positive communities, participate in groups, hobbies, or events that align with your values. Practice authenticity. Be genuine about your needs, desires, and personality. Authenticity draws like-minded individuals. Maintain emotional independence. Avoid seeking validation or self-worth solely from a partner. Emotional independence fosters balanced connections. Practical strategies for building healthy relationships. 1. Communicate effectively. Practice active listening and empathy. Express feelings with clarity and assertiveness. Address conflicts promptly, focusing on understanding rather than winning. 2. Establish mutual respect early. Observe how a potential partner responds to your boundaries, opinions, and needs. Mutual respect should be evident in early interactions and consistently maintained. 3. Foster trust and reliability. Keep promises and follow through on commitments. Observe how a partner manages accountability and honesty. Build trust gradually, ensuring it is reciprocal. 4. Embrace shared growth. Encourage personal and professional growth for both partners. Celebrate achievements and support challenges. Together, healthy relationships involve collaboration, not competition or resentment. 5. Nurture emotional intimacy. Share your thoughts, feelings, and dreams authentically. Provide a safe space for vulnerability without judgment. Emotional intimacy strengthens connection and resilience. 6. Maintain balance between independence and togetherness. Cultivate personal interests, hobbies, and friendships outside the relationship. Ensure that closeness does not compromise individuality. Encourage mutual support while honoring each person's autonomy, avoiding repetition of toxic patterns. To prevent falling back into unhealthy dynamics, regularly check in with yourself. Are your needs being met? Are you respecting your boundaries? Trust your intuition and avoid rationalizing harmful behavior. Reflect on past experiences and actively implement lessons learned. Self-awareness and vigilance help sustain healthy connections and prevent emotional harm. The role of forgiveness and compassion. Forgiveness is key in forming healthy relationships, both toward yourself and others. Forgive yourself, release guilt, shame, or self-blame from past relationships. Forgive others, avoid carrying resentment into new connections. Forgiveness does not excuse behavior but frees you emotionally. Red flags prevents repeating toxic patterns. Emotional readiness, clear boundaries, and self-awareness are prerequisites for healthy connections. Attract healthy relationships by embodying self-respect, authenticity, and emotional independence. Practical strategies include effective communication, mutual respect, trust, shared growth, emotional intimacy, and balanced independence. Avoid repetition of past toxic patterns by reflecting, trusting instincts, and maintaining self-awareness. Forgiveness and compassion toward yourself and others strengthen healthy relationships. Creating a fulfilling life after toxic love. Leaving a toxic relationship is not just about attachment, it's about rebuilding your life and discovering fulfillment on your own terms. Toxic love often leaves a void where self-worth, passion, and joy once lived. Creating a fulfilling life involves reclaiming your identity, pursuing purpose, and cultivating habits that nurture happiness, growth, and resilience. This chapter will guide you through practical strategies and mindset shifts to build a life that thrives beyond the pain, the importance of reclaiming your life. After experiencing toxicity, it's common to feel disoriented or lost. Your priorities, routines, and even your sense of self may have been shaped around the toxic relationship. Reclaiming your life is about rediscovering who you are outside the relationship, building independence and emotional resilience, creating a life filled with joy, purpose, and meaningful connections, ensuring that your future is not defined by past pain. Focusing on fulfillment shifts attention from loss to growth, empowering you to thrive rather than merely survive. Step 1. Rediscover your identity. Toxic relationships can blur or suppress your identity. Rediscovering yourself is foundational for fulfillment. Reflect on your values, what matters most to you: family, career, creativity, spirituality. Reconnect with passions, revisit hobbies, talents, and activities that bring joy. Evaluate past choices. Identify which behaviors were influenced by the toxic partner versus your authentic self. Journal and self-reflect. Writing down thoughts, dreams, and experiences helps clarify identity. Knowing who you are strengthens decision-making, boundaries, and self-respect in every aspect of life. Step 2. Set personal goals. Creating purpose and direction gives structure and motivation. Short-term goals, simple, achievable steps like pursuing a hobby, improving fitness, or reconnecting with friends. Medium-term goals, career growth, skill development, or traveling. Long-term goals, life vision, financial independence, personal growth, or relationships aligned with your values. Goals provide focus, reinforce self-worth, and redirect energy toward growth rather than past pain. Step 3. Build a supportive environment. Your environment shapes emotional recovery. Surround yourself with positive people, friends, mentors, and communities who uplift and encourage growth. Limit toxic influence. Reduce contact with negative or manipulative individuals. Create a safe physical space, a home or a personal space that nurtures peace and creativity. Seek professional support, therapy, coaching, or support groups. Accelerate healing and clarity. A supportive environment reinforces empowerment and emotional resilience. Step 4. Cultivate joy and self-care. Joy and self-care are vital for emotional recovery and fulfillment. Daily self-care, activities that nourish your mind, body, and soul, such as meditation, exercise, or journaling. Explore new experiences. Try activities that excite and challenge you. Travel, hobbies, or learning new skills. Practice gratitude. Focus on the positive aspects of your life to shift mindset and increase satisfaction. Celebrate achievements. Acknowledge progress, no matter how small, to reinforce confidence and motivation. Focusing on joy replenishes energy, strengthens resilience, and restores emotional balance. Step 5. Embrace personal growth. Toxic love provides lessons, albeit painful ones. Use these experiences to grow. Learn from the past, reflect on patterns, behaviors, and choices to prevent repetition. Develop emotional intelligence. Recognize triggers, manage reactions, and improve relationships. Enhance skills, personal development through education, creativity, or career advancement. Strengthens autonomy and self-esteem. Strengthen resilience. Face challenges with confidence. Seeing setbacks as opportunities to grow. Personal growth turns pain into empowerment, creating a life of purpose and strength. Step 6. Build meaningful connections. Human connection is vital for fulfillment, but it must be healthy. Focus on reciprocity. Relationships should involve mutual support, respect, and care. Avoid dependence. Emotional independence ensures relationships are partnerships, not crutches. Prioritize shared values. Surround yourself with people aligned with your principles and vision. Contribute positively, giving support, kindness, and empathy. Fosters rewarding connections. Meaningful connections enhance well-being, happiness, and social fulfillment. Step 7. Embrace a mindset of empowerment. Your mindset shapes your experience of life. Take responsibility for your happiness. Recognize that your fulfillment is your responsibility, not dependent on others. Focus on possibilities, not limitations. Shift from past pain to future potential. Trust yourself. Believe in your ability to navigate life with wisdom and resilience. Practice patience and forgiveness, healing and fulfillment. Take time, be compassionate with yourself. Empowered thinking transforms fear and past pain into motivation and confidence. Step 8. Live authentically. Fulfillment comes from living in alignment with your true self. Make choices that honor your values and needs. Express thoughts, emotions, and desires authentically. Resist societal or external pressures to conform. Celebrate individuality and unique strengths. Authentic living fosters inner peace, confidence, and satisfaction. Key takeaways from Chapter 13. A fulfilling life is built on rediscovering identity, setting goals, and nurturing independence. Supportive environments, positive relationships, and professional guidance accelerate recovery. Joy, self-care, and personal growth restore emotional balance and resilience. Meaningful connections should be reciprocal, supportive, and aligned with values. Empowerment, responsibility, and authentic living are foundational for lasting fulfillment. Healing from toxic love is a journey. Progress requires patience, self-compassion, and intentional action. Embracing self-love and inner peace. After leaving toxic love, reclaiming your life, and cultivating healthy relationships, the ultimate stage of healing is embracing self-love and inner peace. Self-love is more than confidence or self-esteem. It is the deep acceptance, care, and respect you owe for yourself even after pain. Inner peace is the calm, resilient state that comes when you release guilt, resentment, and fear. This chapter will guide you in cultivating these essential qualities, ensuring lasting freedom and emotional well-being. Understanding self-love. Self-love is the practice of valuing yourself unconditionally. It is recognizing your inherent worth, regardless of past mistakes or failures, accepting your strengths and imperfections, prioritizing your needs, well-being, and happiness, treating yourself with the same kindness you offer to others. Self-love forms the foundation for healthy relationships, personal fulfillment, and emotional resilience, while toxic love undermines self-love. Toxic relationships often erode self-love through criticism and belittlement. Constant negative feedback lowers self-worth. Manipulation and control, gaslighting and guilt-tripping make you doubt your value. Over-accommodation, prioritizing the partner over yourself frame, causes a sense of inadequacy. Isolation, being cut off from support networks, weakens self-belief. Healing self-love involves reversing these effects and reclaiming your intrinsic worth. Steps to cultivate self-love. 1. Practice self-acceptance. Accept all aspects of yourself, including flaws and past mistakes. Understand that imperfections are part of being human. Avoid harsh self-criticism. Speak to yourself with compassion. Exercise each day. Write down 3 things you appreciate about yourself, focusing on qualities beyond physical appearance. 2. Set healthy boundaries. Boundaries reinforce that your well-being is non-negotiable. Saying no or limiting contact with toxic influences demonstrates self-respect. Boundaries protect emotional, physical, and mental health, reinforcing self-love. 3. Engage in self-care. Regularly nurture your body, mind, and spirit through exercise, nutrition, rest, meditation, or creative pursuits. Self-care signals to yourself that you are worthy of attention and care. Prioritize activities that replenish energy, joy, and balance. 4. Challenge negative beliefs. Identify internalized messages from the toxic relationship that diminish your self-worth. Replace them with affirmations. I am worthy of love and respect. I honor my needs and emotions. I deserve happiness and peace. Consistent practice reinforces positive self-perception. 5. Cultivate gratitude and positivity. Focus on what you have rather than what was lost. Gratitude shifts mindset from scarcity to abundance, enhancing self-love and contentment. Celebrate personal growth, accomplishments, and resilience. Embracing inner peace. Inner peace is the natural companion to self-love. It is a state of emotional calm, acceptance, and clarity, even in the face of challenges. Inner peace allows you to release resentment towards yourself and others. Let go of fear, guilt, and attachment to the past. Respond to life with clarity and emotional balance. Steps to achieve inner peace. 1. Let go of resentment. Holding on to anger or resentment prolongs suffering. Forgive, not to excuse harmful behavior, but to free yourself emotionally. Releasing resentment restores calm and clarity. 2. Practice mindfulness. Observe thoughts and emotions without judgment. Focus on the present rather than dwelling on past trauma or future worries. Mindfulness cultivates mental clarity, reduces anxiety, and enhances self-awareness. 3. Accept what you cannot control. Life and other people are beyond your full control. Release attachment to outcomes, particularly regarding past relationships. Acceptance reduces mental struggle and strengthens emotional resilience. 4. Focus on your growth. Channel energy toward personal development, purpose, and passion. Growth transforms pain into empowerment and fulfillment. Inner peace flourishes when your life is aligned with values and aspirations. Daily practices to reinforce self-love and peace, meditation or deep breathing calm the mind, release tension, and enhance emotional stability. Affirmations repeat empowering statements to reinforce worth and confidence. Journaling, reflect on progress, express gratitude, and release emotional burdens. Physical movement, exercise strengthens body-mind connection and confidence. Creative expression, art, music, or writing allows emotional release and self-discovery. Connect with nature. Time outdoors promotes calm, grounding, and perspective. Consistent practice reinforces lasting self-love and emotional serenity. The role of compassion. Self-love includes self-compassion. Speak to yourself as you would a loved one. Recognize that healing takes time and setbacks are natural. Offer kindness to yourself in moments of doubt or difficulty. Compassion transforms self-criticism into encouragement, accelerating recovery and reinforcing inner peace. Living a life aligned with self-love. When self-love and inner peace are central, life becomes more intentional and fulfilling. Decisions reflect personal values, not external pressure or past conditioning. Relationships are based on mutual respect and genuine care. You prioritize your well-being without guilt. You cultivate resilience, joy, and emotional autonomy. Self-love empowers you to navigate life with confidence, clarity, and serenity. Key takeaways from Chapter 14. Self-love is deep acceptance, care, and respect for yourself. Toxic love often undermines self-love through criticism, manipulation, and over-accommodation. Steps to cultivate self-love, self-acceptance, healthy boundaries, self-care, challenging negative beliefs, and gratitude. Inner peace is emotional calm, clarity, and resilience. Practices for inner peace: let go of resentment, mindfulness, acceptance, focus on growth, and daily nurturing habits. Compassion toward yourself enhances self-love and emotional recovery. Living aligned with self-love results in intentional choices, fulfilling relationships, and emotional freedom. Sustaining growth and preventing future toxic relationships. Rebuilding your life, cultivating self-love, and creating healthy relationships are transformative steps, but true empowerment comes from sustaining growth over time. Healing is a journey, not a destination, and staying vigilant ensures that you maintain emotional health, avoid repeating patterns, and continue thriving long after toxic love. This chapter provides strategies to sustain growth, reinforce self-worth, and prevent future toxic entanglements. The importance of sustaining growth. Healing from toxic love is often non-linear. Without conscious effort, old habits, unresolved trauma, or emotional vulnerabilities may resurface. Sustaining growth reinforces the progress you've made, protects self-esteem and confidence, prevents repeating unhealthy relationship patterns, promotes long-term emotional resilience and fulfillment. Growth is a lifelong commitment, Nurturing it ensures you remain empowered and emotionally autonomous. Step 1. Maintain self-awareness. Self-awareness, health. Sustained growth requires nurturing your inner world. Engage in regular self-care routines that support mental, physical, and emotional well-being. Seek therapy, coaching, or support groups to address lingering trauma or challenges. Practice mindfulness and meditation to stay grounded and manage stress. Prioritizing health prevents relapse into dependency or tolerance of toxic behavior. Step 4. Foster healthy relationships. Building and maintaining supportive connections is vital. Surround yourself with individuals who respect, uplift, and challenge you positively. Avoid relationships that mirror past toxicity. Encourage reciprocity, empathy, and emotional maturity in all interactions. Strong, healthy relationships reinforce self-esteem, accountability, and fulfillment, reducing vulnerability to manipulation. Step 5. Recognize and avoid red flags early. Preventing future toxic relationships requires vigilance. Control or jealousy, excessive possessiveness is a warning as IgAN, inconsistent behavior, frequent highs and lows may indicate manipulation, disrespect of boundaries, ignoring your limits signals potential harm, blame and gaslighting. Avoid those who deflect responsibility or distort reality. Trust your intuition. If something feels wrong early on, honor that feeling rather than rationalize it away. Step 6. Continue personal growth. Sustained growth involves ongoing development. Pursue educational, professional, or creative goals. Explore hobbies and passions that bring fulfillment. Seek experiences that expand your perspective, skills, and resilience. Continual growth reinforces confidence, independence, and emotional stability, reducing susceptibility to future toxicity. Step 7. Strengthen emotional resilience. Resilience is the ability to recover from challenges without losing your sense of self. Key practices include emotional regulation, identify and manage feelings without being overwhelmed. Adaptability, adjust to change without company. Promising your values. Self-reflection, learn from setbacks rather than internalize blame. Patience, understand that healing and growth are long-term processes. Resilience ensures that setbacks do not compromise your progress or self-worth. Step 8. Maintain self-love and inner peace. Sustaining growth requires protecting the foundation you've built. Continue daily practices that reinforce self-love, affirmations, self-care, reflection. Maintain mindfulness to remain present and emotionally balanced. Embrace forgiveness toward yourself and others to prevent lingering resentment. Self-love and inner peace act as anchors, guiding you through life with confidence and clarity. Step 9. Set life priorities and standards. Living intentionally reduces vulnerability to toxic influences. Define personal values and life goals clearly. Choose relationships, jobs, and commitments aligned with these standards. Refuse to compromise self-respect or well-being for convenience or approval standards. And priorities act as protective measures against repeating past mistakes. Step 10. Celebrate growth and progress. Acknowledging progress reinforces motivation and self-belief. Reflect on achievements in healing, boundaries, and personal development. Reward yourself for milestones, no matter how small. Share your growth journey with trusted supporters to reinforce accountability and perspective. Celebration strengthens confidence, resilience, and commitment to sustained growth. Key takeaways from Chapter 15. Sustaining growth prevents relapse into toxic patterns and reinforces emotional empowerment. Self-awareness is critical. Monitor thoughts, emotions, and triggers regularly. Boundaries must be enforced consistently and adapted as circumstances evolve. Prioritize emotional and mental health through self-care, therapy, and mindfulness. Cultivate supportive, healthy relationships while avoiding red flags early. Continuous personal growth strengthens independence, confidence, and Fulfillment, emotional resilience allows recovery from challenges without compromising self-worth. Self-love and inner peace remain foundational anchors for sustained progress. Establish clear life priorities and standards to guide decisions and relationships. Celebrate achievements to reinforce motivation, confidence, and commitment to growth or conclusion and final reflection, embracing freedom and a new beginning. As we reach the final chapter of this journey, take a moment to reflect on how far you have come. Healing from toxic love is not linear, nor is it easy, but it is transformative. You have walked through pain, grief, self-discovery, and empowerment. You have learned to detach emotionally, rebuild self-esteem, cultivate healthy relationships, and embrace self-love and inner peace. Now, the final step is embracing your freedom and creating a life defined by your values, joy, and authenticity. Reflecting on your journey, healing begins with awareness and growth emerges from action. Consider the steps you have taken. Recognition, you acknowledge the toxicity in your past relationship, validating your feelings and experiences. Detachment, you released emotional dependence and reclaimed your autonomy. Boundaries, you established limits that protect your emotional, physical, and mental well-being. Self-esteem and confidence, you rebuilt your sense of worth and trust in your own abilities. Healthy relationships, you learn to identify, cultivate, and maintain connections that honor and support you. Fulfillment, you rediscovered your identity, pursued purpose, and embraced joy. Self-love and inner peace, you cultivated acceptance, compassion, and serenity that anchor your emotional health. Sustained growth, you committed to long-term vigilance, self-awareness, and continuous personal development. Each step represents a victory, a conscious decision to prioritize your well-being and reclaim your life. Freedom is your birthright. Freedom after toxic L. Off is not simply the absence of pain or a harmful relationship. True freedom is emotional autonomy, the ability to experience emotions without being controlled or manipulated. Self-respect, standing firm in your boundaries, values, and choices. Empowerment, making decisions that honor your well-being and long-term happiness. Joy and fulfillment, pursuing passions, relationships, and goals that resonate with your authentic self. This freedom is not granted by others. It is claimed through self-awareness, courage, and commitment to growth. Key principles to embrace as you move forward. 1. Honor your emotions. Emotions are signals, not instructions. Feel your emotions fully, but choose responses aligned with your well-being. Avoid suppressing pain, fear, or grief. Acknowledge them, process them, and release them. 2. Trust yourself. You are capable of making sound decisions for your life. Trust your instincts and inner wisdom, even when it feels uncomfortable. Your experiences, age, have prepared you to navigate challenges with resilience and clarity. 3. Live intentionally. Align actions with values, goals, and passions. Make choices that reinforce self-respect, joy, and personal growth. Avoid living according to external expectations, past conditioning, or fear of judgment. 4. Cultivate gratitude and perspective. Recognize the lessons in past pain and toxic experiences. Celebrate progress, resilience, and growth. Maintain perspective by appreciating the abundance and opportunities in your life. 5. Embrace continuous growth. Healing and personal development are lifelong journeys. Reflect, learn, and adapt as you encounter new experiences. Each challenge is an opportunity to strengthen resilience, confidence, and emotional health. Creating your new beginning. A new beginning is not defined by leaving the past behind. It is defined by building a life that reflects your values, passions, and authenticity. Steps to embrace your new beginning. Define your vision. Envision the life you want, including career, relationships, health, and personal fulfillment. Commit to growth, continue self-reflection, learning, and development. Practice self-love daily. Prioritize your emotional, physical, mental well-being. Build supportive connections. Surround yourself with people who uplift, encourage, and respect you. Act with courage. Make choices that align with your authentic self, even if they challenge fear or comfort zones. Your new beginning is a life intentionally shaped by your values, not dictated by past pain or toxic influence. Embracing joy and possibility. Toxic love can leave scars, but it can also reveal your strength and resilience. Joy and possibility are waiting for you. Rediscover passion. Engage in activities that excite, inspire, and fulfill you. Pursue meaningful connections. Build relationships rooted in respect, care, and shared values. Explore your potential. Challenge yourself to grow, learn, and embrace new experiences. Celebrate freedom. Honor the emotional autonomy, self-respect, and empowerment you have claimed. Each day is an opportunity to live fully, authentically, and joyfully. Final affirmations for healing and empowerment. Repeat these affirmations daily to reinforce your transformation. I am free from toxic love and empowered to create my best life. I honor my feelings, needs, and boundaries. I trust myself to make choices that support my well-being. I embrace self-love, inner peace, and emotional resilience. I am capable, strong, and deserving of joy, respect, and meaningful connections. Each day I grow stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled. Affirmations strengthen belief in yourself, maintain progress, and reinforce the life you're building. Key takeaways from the conclusion. Healing is a journey, and your progress represents courage, resilience, and empowerment. True freedom involves emotional autonomy, self-respect, empowerment, and joy. Embrace core praying. IPOS, honor emotions, trust yourself, live intentionally, practice gratitude, and commit to continuous growth. A new beginning is intentional, a life shaped by values, passions, and authenticity. Joy, fulfillment, and possibility are accessible once you release the past and claim your power. Daily affirmations, self-love practices, and mindful living reinforce healing and empowerment. Your life after toxic love is not only possible, it can be extraordinary. Closing reflection. Remember, the journey from toxic love to empowerment is profound. You have transformed grief into strength, pain into wisdom, and vulnerability into resilience. Each step you have taken, from detachment and boundary setting to self-love, healthy relationships, and fulfillment, has equipped you to live intentionally, authentically, and joyfully. Your past does not define you. Your courage, choices, and commitment to grow do. Embrace your freedom, honor your journey, and step boldly into a future where you are the architect of your happiness, peace, and purpose. This is not just recovery, it is your renaissance, your reclamation of life, and your affirmation that you are worthy, strong, and capable of living fully. Thank you for listening and staying with us.